The USS Pathfinder moved slowly through the darkness of deep space. Captain Lisa Howard sat in her command chair, watching the stars on the main screen. Her ship was on a routine exploration mission, mapping a sector that no human had visited before. "Captain, I'm picking up some unusual readings," said Officer Paul Wright from his station. His eyes were fixed on his screen, his face showing confusion. "What kind of readings?" Lisa asked, standing up and walking over to his console. "Energy signatures, massive ones. Like nothing in our database," Paul said. "And they're moving toward us." Before Lisa could respond, the ship's alarms began to sound. The space around them seemed to bend and twist. Then, in a flash of blue light, 5 massive ships appeared. They were at least 20 times larger than the Pathfinder, with strange curved designs that no human engineer would have created. "Battle stations," Lisa ordered calmly, though her heart was racing. "Shields up, but do not, I repeat, do not power weapons unless I give the command." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. Lisa returned to her chair, keeping her face calm. First contact situations were always dangerous. One wrong move could start a war that Earth couldn't win. "We're being scanned," reported Communications Officer Samantha Green, "and they're sending a transmission." "Put it on screen," Lisa said. The main screen flickered and an alien face appeared. It had pale blue skin, large black eyes with no visible pupils, and no nose. The mouth was small and appeared to have no lips. "Greetings, vessel of unknown origin," the alien said in perfect English, surprising everyone on the bridge. "I am High Commander Zexal of the Galactic Federation. We have been monitoring your system for some time and decided it was time to make formal contact." Lisa stood up straight. "I am Captain Lisa Howard of the United Earth vessel Pathfinder. We come with peaceful intentions." The alien made a gesture that might have been a nod. "Your technological advancement is impressive for a species so recently emerged from planetary bounds. The Federation Council wishes to extend an invitation to your leaders to discuss potential membership in our alliance of 17 advanced civilizations." 6 months later, Earth was abuzz with excitement. The United Nations had established diplomatic relations with the Galactic Federation, and Earth had been granted probationary membership status. The dominant species, who called themselves the Zelnar, had shared limited technology that had already revolutionized medicine and clean energy production. Ambassador George Martinez walked through the grand halls of the Federation Council on Zelnar Prime. The ceiling arched hundreds of feet above him, made of a crystal-like material that seemed to capture and enhance the light of the planet's 3 suns. Representatives from species across the galaxy moved around him, some flying, some slithering, some walking on multiple legs. "Ambassador Martinez, a moment of your time," called a voice. George turned to see Counselor Vex, a Viridian representative. The Viridians were tall, thin beings with gray skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. "Of course, Counselor," George replied with a practiced smile. "The Trade Committee has reviewed your proposal for increased technology sharing," Vex said. "While we appreciate Earth's enthusiasm, we feel that some of the requested technologies would be premature for your civilization." George maintained his diplomatic smile. "May I ask which technologies specifically, and why?" "Advanced propulsion systems, for one," Vex replied smoothly. "Your species is still adapting to interstellar travel. Too much. Too quickly could be destabilizing." George nodded, though inside he felt frustration. This was the 3rd time this month that reasonable requests had been denied. Still, he remained polite and professional. "I understand your concerns. Perhaps we could discuss a phased approach?" Later that evening, George sat in his private office in the Earth Embassy, reviewing the day's events. His assistant, Maria Diaz, entered with a datapad. "Another long day of smiling and nodding?" she asked sympathetically. "That's diplomacy," George said with a tired smile. "Any updates from home?" "Yes, sir. The UN Security Council wants an update on the colony approval process," Maria said. "They're getting impatient." George sighed. 3 proposed human colonies had been stuck in the Federation's approval process for months, while other species, seem to get approvals within weeks. Also, the science team on Mars reports that the Zelnar researchers are asking a lot of questions about Earth's biological diversity, Maria added. Dr. Lopez says they seem particularly interested in our microbial life. Curious, George muttered. Make sure our people are careful about what information they share. I've been noticing patterns in the Federation's behavior. On the other side of the Federation Council building, High Commander Zexal met with the leaders of the dominant species in a chamber not listed on any public directory. The humans continue to push for greater technology access, said Vex, the Viridian representative. As expected, replied Zexal. They are ambitious and advancing quickly. Too quickly. A third alien, Commander Krull of the militaristic Dravak, species made a rumbling sound in its throat. Their weapons technology is primitive, but their adaptability is concerning. Their ships are exploring at the edges of their allowed zones, always testing boundaries. What of the biological samples? Asked Zexal. Most promising, said another Zelnar. Human biochemistry is unique among all Federation species. The compounds we've isolated could revolutionize our medical technology, perhaps even our weapons. Zexal nodded. Then we continue as planned. Maintain the appearance of welcome while restricting their expansion. The probationary period gives us time to fully assess their usefulness and potential threat level. And if they discover our true intentions? Asked Vex. Zexal's expression didn't change, but the temperature in the room seemed to drop. They are one young species against 17 ancient ones. What could they possibly do? Back on Earth, in Diu, a secure underground facility beneath the Rocky Mountains, Defense Secretary Patricia Wells reviewed the latest intelligence reports from throughout Federation space. Despite the veneer of friendly relations, she had insisted on maintaining Earth's military readiness. The Federation presents opportunities, she told her staff, but also risks. Our diplomats will do their job, and we'll do ours. On a wall screen, designs for new ships and weapons scrolled by, projects hidden from Federation knowledge, just in case. On Mars, Federation scientists Betty Jones and Frank Nelson worked alongside Zelnar researchers. Betty noticed how the alien scientists often worked alone with Earth samples, not sharing their findings. They're not telling us everything, Frank whispered to her during a break. I accessed their data storage. They're running tests they never mentioned to us. Keep watching, Betty replied quietly. But be careful. For now, we play along. Across the solar system and beyond, humans smiled and nodded and followed Federation rules. They were the friendly newcomers, eager to learn and cooperate. But they weren't naive. They watched. They planned. And they waited. No one in the Federation realized that humanity's diplomatic face was just that, a face they chose to wear. For now. 5 years passed since Earth joined the Galactic Federation. On the surface, things seemed to be going well. Human merchants traded in Federation markets. Students from Earth studied at alien universities. Federation tourists visited Earth's natural wonders. But beneath this friendly picture, tensions were growing. Lieutenant Kevin Phillips walked through the quiet halls of the human embassy on Zelnar Prime. It was late in the night cycle, and most staff had retired to their quarters. Kevin had been working as a military attaché for 3 years. His job was to observe Federation military practices and report back to Earth Command. Kevin entered his office and locked the door. He sat at his desk and activated his secure computer terminal. For weeks, he had been intercepting and decoding communications between high-ranking Federation officials. What he found disturbed him deeply. Computer, decrypt file XF7239, he said quietly. Text appeared on his screen. As he read, his frown deepened. The file contained orders from the Zelnar High Command to Federation border patrols. They were instructed to delay or redirect human ships, especially those carrying colonization equipment. Another section detailed how Federation representatives should continue blocking human requests for advanced technology. Kevin downloaded the evidence to a secure device. He needed to show this to Ambassador Martinez immediately. The ambassador's private residence was in a quiet section of the diplomatic quarter. Despite the late hour, George Martinez was still awake, reviewing reports at his desk. "Lieutenant Phillips," George said, looking up as his security system announced the visitor. "What brings you here at this hour?" Kevin placed the secure device on the desk. "Sir, I think you need to see this." George spent the next hour reviewing the files. His diplomatic mask slipped, revealing anger and disappointment. 5 years, he said finally. 5 years we've played by their rules. We've been patient, respectful, cooperative. And all this time, what do we do, sir? Kevin asked. George's expression hardened. "We keep playing the game, Lieutenant. But now we change our strategy. Contact Earth Command with this information, highest security protocols, and tell no one else about what you found." On Earth, Defense Secretary Patricia Wells received the encrypted transmission from Zelnar Prime. She immediately called an emergency meeting with the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the secure underground facility known as the bunker. "The Federation has been systematically sabotaging our expansion efforts," she told the grim-faced military leaders. "But that's not all. We've lost contact with 3 colony ships near Viridian space in the past month." Admiral Joe Clark, head of Earth's Space Forces, leaned forward. "Lost how? Accidents?" "That's what the Federation reports claim," Patricia replied. "But these new files suggest the Viridians may be involved in deliberate sabotage." The room was silent as the implications sank in. "We need confirmation," Patricia continued. "I'm authorizing a covert mission to investigate. Admiral, I want your best stealth ship and crew." Admiral Clark nodded. "Commander Alan Scott and the EAS Nighthawk. They're our top stealth reconnaissance team." 3 weeks later, Commander Scott guided his ship through the darkness of deep space. The EAS Nighthawk was Earth's most advanced stealth vessel, using both human ingenuity and reverse-engineered Federation technology. "Approaching the last known location of the colony ship Liberty," reported Navigator Susan Lee. "Sensors are at maximum sensitivity." Alan nodded. The bridge was dimly lit to help the crew focus on their screens. "Any signs of debris?" "None, sir," Susan replied. "But I am detecting faint energy trails leading to that asteroid field." Alan studied the display. "That's odd. According to the flight plan, the Liberty had no reason to divert there." "Sir," called out Sensor Officer Doug Harris, "I'm detecting a ship hiding in the asteroid field. Viridian design." Alan's eyes narrowed. "What would a Viridian ship be doing this far from their usual patrol routes? Take us in closer, but maintain stealth protocols." The Nighthawk glided silently toward the asteroid field. As they drew closer, they detected more energy signatures. "Sir, I'm picking up human energy signatures," Doug reported with surprise. "They match the Liberty's power core." "Show me," Alan ordered. The main screen displayed a shocking sight. The Viridian ship had captured the colony ship Liberty. They were systematically dismantling it, removing components and storing them in their cargo hold. "Record everything," Alan ordered, "and scan for life signs." Susan worked her console, then looked up with a grim expression. "No human life signs, Commander, but I'm detecting the Liberty's black box. Its data might tell us what happened." Alan made a quick decision. "We're retrieving that black box. Prepare for a stealth extraction operation." Hours later, the Nighthawk was speeding back toward Earth space. In the ship's lab, Alan and his team reviewed the data from the Liberty's black box. "This wasn't an accident," Alan said, his voice tight with controlled anger. "The Viridians disabled their engines, boarded the ship, and executed the entire crew, all 347 colonists." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Kelly White, looked sick. "Why would they do this?" "The colony was headed for a planet rich in rare minerals," Alan replied. "The Federation denied our formal request to settle there, saying it was too close to Viridian space. So the Liberty tried to establish an unofficial colony. And the Viridians murdered them for it," Kelly said. Alan nodded grimly. "And the Federation is covering it up. This isn't the first time either. The black box recorded communications from the Viridian captain. He mentioned another human intrusion eliminated. Meanwhile, on Mars, Federation scientists Betty Jones, And Frank Nelson had made a disturbing discovery of their own. The Zelnar research team had been collecting samples of Earth bacteria and viruses, far more than needed for the stated research objectives. Betty accessed a restricted Zelnar database during the night shift. What she found horrified her. "They're weaponizing our microbes," she told Frank in a whispered conversation in a supply closet. "The bacteria that are harmless to us could be devastating to other species. They're developing biological weapons using Earth organisms." Frank ran a hand through his hair. "We need to report this to Earth authorities." "Agreed," Betty said, "but we need to be careful. If the Zelnar find out what we know..." They never got the chance to send their report. The next day, Zelnar security forces arrested both scientists on charges of unauthorized access to restricted data. When Earth officials requested information about the arrests, they were told that Betty and Frank had been caught stealing Federation technology secrets. They were to be transferred to a Federation detention facility for trial. Back on Earth, Commander Scott presented his findings to the Security Council. The evidence was clear. The Federation, particularly the Zelnar and Viridians, had been systematically deceiving humanity while exploiting Earth's resources and preventing human expansion. Patricia Wells stood before the world leaders. "For 5 years we've acted in good faith. We've followed their rules, we've been patient. But now we have proof that the Federation sees us not as partners, but as resources to be used and controlled." She paused, letting her words sink in. The question before us is simple. How much longer do we maintain the diplomatic act? Ambassador George Martinez stood tall before the Federation Council on Zelnar Prime. The Grand Chamber was filled with representatives from all 17 member species. Usually, he wore a friendly diplomatic smile. Today, his face was serious and determined. "Honored council members," George began, his voice firm and clear. "For 5 years, Earth has been a loyal probationary member of the Galactic Federation. We have followed your rules. We have shared our resources. We have worked to build trust between our worlds." He tapped a control on his wrist device. Large screens around the chamber came to life, showing images and data. "But today I must present evidence that this trust has not been mutual." Murmurs spread through the chamber as the images displayed Federation ships interfering with human colony vessels. Zelnar scientists collecting Earth biological samples without permission, and communications ordering restrictions on human expansion. Furthermore, George continued, "We have proof that Viridian forces attacked and destroyed the human colony ship Liberty, killing all 347 people on board." The Viridian representative, Counselor Vex, stood up. "These are serious accusations, Ambassador. Do you have any proof beyond these easily fabricated images?" George tapped his device again. The screens now showed the recovered black box data from the Liberty. "Direct evidence from the Liberty's recording systems," George said. "And we demand the immediate release of our scientists, Betty Jones and Frank Nelson, who were arrested on false charges after discovering the Zelnar's plans to weaponize Earth microbes." The chamber erupted in angry shouts. The Zelnar Prime Minister Zexal raised his hands for silence. "Ambassador Martinez," Zexal said coldly, "these accusations are the product of human paranoia and misunderstanding. Your scientists were caught attempting to steal classified technology. As for these other claims, they will be investigated in due time." "In due time?" George repeated. "While more human ships disappear? While you continue to block our colonies and steal our resources?" Zexal's large black eyes narrowed. "Perhaps this demonstrates why humans are not yet ready for full Federation membership. Your species is clearly too aggressive and suspicious for proper galactic cooperation." The council chamber grew quiet. "The Federation Council hereby extends Earth's probationary period by an additional 10 years, Zexal announced. "During this time, further restrictions will be placed on human expansion and technology development. If these terms are not acceptable, Earth is free to withdraw from the Federation entirely, though this would mean the loss of all trading privileges and protection." George looked around the chamber. Not a single representative from the other species spoke in Earth's defense. "I will convey your message to Earth's leadership," George said stiffly. He turned and walked out of the chamber, his back straight and his head high. Meanwhile, at the edge of human space, 3 massive Viridian warships approached the human colony of New Anchorage. The colony was home to 5,000 people who had settled on a small, rocky planet rich in rare minerals. The colony's small defense force detected the approaching ships. Station Commander Ruth Garcia sent an urgent message to Earth. "Attention Earth Command, this is New Anchorage. 3 Viridian warships approaching with weapons hot. They're not responding to communications. We need immediate assistance." Before help could arrive, the Viridian ships opened fire. Their advanced weapons easily overwhelmed the colony's basic defenses. Buildings collapsed. Life support systems failed. Colonists ran for emergency shelters. Among those killed in the first wave of attacks was Commander Alan Scott's family. His wife and 2 children had moved to New Anchorage just 6 months earlier. News of the attack reached Earth within hours. The United Nations Security Council gathered in emergency session in New York City. The room was tense as Defense Secretary Patricia Wells presented the latest information. "The attack on New Anchorage was unprovoked," she reported. "The Viridians claim they were responding to a military buildup at the colony, but our records show only standard defensive measures were in place." The Secretary General looked grim. "And the casualty reports?" Patricia took a deep breath. "Over 600 dead, including many civilians. Another 1,000 injured. The colony's main habitat dome was breached." Commander Alan Scott stood at the back of the room, his face pale but composed. He had received the news about his family just an hour before the meeting. "Commander Scott," the Secretary General said, "you have recent first-hand experience with Viridian tactics. Please share your assessment." Alan stepped forward. Despite his personal tragedy, his voice was steady. "The Federation, particularly the Zelnar and Viridians, have been systematically working against human interests from the beginning. They view us as a potential threat to their dominance, but also as a resource to be exploited. The attack on New Anchorage is not an isolated incident. It's part of a pattern." The Chinese representative spoke up. "And what of Ambassador Martinez's diplomatic efforts?" As if on cue, a communication came through from Zelnar Prime. Ambassador Martinez's face appeared on the main screen. "Mr. Secretary General, members of the Security Council," George said. "I have just come from a meeting with the Federation Council. They have dismissed our evidence and concerns. Instead, they are demanding we accept additional restrictions on human activities." He reported the details of the meeting, including the ultimatum: accept second-class status or leave the Federation. When he finished, the room was silent for a long moment. Then Patricia Wells stood up. "It's time we showed them what happens when humans drop the Diplomacy Act." She activated a secure datapad and passed it to the Secretary General. "This is the complete intelligence dossier on Federation activities against Earth. It includes evidence of biological weapons development using Earth microbes, deliberate sabotage of our colony ships, and technology theft." The Security Council members reviewed the evidence. One by one, they looked up with resolve in their eyes. The Secretary General called for a vote. "The question before us is whether to continue diplomatic relations with the Galactic Federation under current circumstances." The vote was unanimous. The Secretary General turned to Patricia. "Implement the Phoenix Protocol." Patricia nodded and activated her secure communications. "All units, Phoenix Protocol is now active. I repeat, Phoenix Protocol is active." Across the solar system, hidden facilities sprang to life. Ships that had been kept off official records powered up their systems. Soldiers and crews who had trained in secret reported to their stations. In orbit around Earth, the Federation ambassadors and their staffs were given a simple message. They had 48 hours to leave the solar system. As the Zelnar ambassador boarded his ship, he met with Patricia Wells one last time. "You are making a grave mistake," the ambassador said. "The Federation has conquered species far more advanced than humanity. Your primitive defenses cannot stand against the combined might of 17 advanced civilizations." Patricia simply smiled. "You've never actually seen humans fight, have you?" The ambassador left, his expression confident and dismissive. As the Federation ships departed, Commander Scott watched from the orbital command station. They really have no idea what's coming, do they? Asked his second-in-command, Kelly White. Alan shook his head. They've only seen our diplomatic face. Now they'll meet the rest of us. News of Earth's break with the Federation spread quickly across galactic communication networks. On Federation worlds, citizens were told that humans had become unstable and dangerous. Military forces were mobilized. The Federation Council expected a quick end to what they called the human problem. What they didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment since first contact. Deep in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter, hidden shipyards activated their systems. Massive, hangar doors opened, revealing ships unlike any the Federation had seen before. This was the Ghost Fleet, advanced warships that combined human military thinking with reverse-engineered alien technology. Admiral Diane Carter stood on the bridge of the flagship, EAS Defiance. Around her, crew members worked at their stations, preparing for battle. Through the view screen, she watched as dozens of ships moved into formation. Fleet status report, Diane ordered. Her second-in-command, Captain Greg Foster, checked his console. All ships report ready, Admiral. Stealth systems are operating at full capacity. Diane nodded. The Federation believes we only have the ships they've seen and approved. They have no idea what's waiting for them. She took a deep breath. Our first mission is clear: rescue our people. The Federation was holding Betty Jones and Frank Nelson at a high-security detention facility on Zelnar's third moon. The facility also held crew members from the captured colony ships. Set course for Zelnar system, Diane ordered. Stealth approach. We'll show them what happens when humans stop playing nice. The Ghost Fleet moved out of the asteroid belt. Unlike conventional ships, they did not use standard jump points. Instead, they utilized a propulsion system based on Federation technology, but modified by human engineers. The ship seemed to fade from normal space, becoming nearly invisible to standard sensors. On Zelnar Prime, military leaders were discussing the human situation when alarms began to sound. What's happening? Demanded General Krav of the Zelnar. Defense Force, a young officer, looked up from his console, confusion on his face. Sir, we're detecting multiple energy spikes near the third moon, but they appeared out of nowhere. Identify them, Krav ordered. Working on it, sir, but they don't match any known signature. They seem to be human vessels, but much more advanced than anything on record. General Krav's eyes widened. Impossible. Their technology is primitive. Activate all defense systems and dispatch the home fleet. At the detention facility on the third moon, guards were changing shifts when the first explosion shook the building. Emergency lights flashed as alarms blared. We're under attack, shouted the facility commander. Secure the prisoners. But before they could react, more explosions rocked the facility. Then the power went out. In the darkness, the sound of cutting tools could be heard as something broke through the outer walls. When emergency power came on, the guards found themselves facing human soldiers in advanced battle armor. The soldiers moved with precision, disabling the guards with non-lethal weapons. In the command center of the facility, the human strike team had already taken control. Commander Aaron Mills removed his helmet as he approached the main console. Find our people, he ordered his team. Within minutes, they had located and freed all the human prisoners. Betty Jones looked shocked as her cell door opened and a human soldier stood there. Dr. Jones? Time to go home, the soldier said. In orbit around the moon, Admiral Carter's ships engaged the Zelnar Defense Forces. The Federation ships were larger and more numerous, but they couldn't hit what they couldn't see properly. The human vessels used advanced stealth technology and moved in patterns the Federation had never encountered. Target their weapons and propulsion only, Diane ordered. We want to disable, not destroy. The human ships darted in and out of sensor range, firing with pinpoint accuracy. Federation vessels found their weapon systems failing and engines shutting down. On the bridge of the Zelnar flagship, General Krav watched in disbelief as his fleet was systematically disabled by a much smaller force. How is this possible? He demanded. These are not the same humans we've been dealing with for 5 years. His tactical officer shook his head. Sir, they're using technologies similar to ours but modified in ways we've never seen. And their battle tactics, they're unlike anything in our records. In another part of Federation space, Captain John Rivera led a strike force against Viridian military outposts. His ship, the EAS Shadowhawk, was designed specifically for hit-and-run attacks. John had been a student of military history on Earth. He knew that guerrilla tactics had often allowed smaller forces to defeat larger, more conventional armies. Now he applied those principles to space warfare. Use the asteroid field for cover, he instructed his fleet. Hit them fast, then disappear before they can respond. The human ships moved through the asteroid field with incredible agility. They would appear suddenly, fire precision strikes at Viridian ships, then vanish back among the asteroids. The Viridian commander, Admiral Zex, was furious. "Find them!" he shouted at his crew. "How can primitive humans be outmaneuvering us?" What the Viridians didn't know was that human pilots had spent years training in asteroid field navigation, developing skills that the Federation species had never needed to master. After crippling the Viridian patrol fleet, John opened a communication channel to all Federation frequencies. His message was brief but powerful. "This is Captain John Rivera of Earth Defense Forces. You thought our diplomats were persistent? Wait until you meet our soldiers. We gave peace every chance. Remember that in the days to come." The message spread across Federation networks, eventually reaching Earth. There, Defense Secretary Patricia Wells and her team monitored the operations from the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. "Reports from Admiral Carter," an officer announced. "All human prisoners successfully rescued. Minimal casualties on both sides." Patricia nodded. "And Captain Rivera's strike force?" "The Viridian border fleet is in disarray. Our forces are already moving to secure the region where the colony ships were destroyed." Patricia turned to Commander Alan Scott, who had been given a special assignment. "Commander, it's time for Phase 2. Alan nodded grimly. As someone who had lost his family to Federation aggression, he was fully committed to showing the aliens exactly what humanity could do when pushed too far. "My team is ready," he said. "The Federation thinks they know what human technology is capable of. They're about to learn how wrong they are." Across Federation space, human forces revealed technologies that had been kept hidden. Stealth systems that made ships nearly invisible to standard sensors. Advanced AI battle coordination that adapted faster than alien tacticians could respond. Weapons specifically designed to target weak points in Federation defenses. Communication systems that couldn't be intercepted or jammed. Most shocking to the Federation was how quickly humans adapted their tactics. When the Zelnar developed countermeasures against human stealth technology, human ships simply switched to new methods of attack. 2 weeks into the conflict, the Federation Council held an emergency session. The mood was somber. "How could we have misjudged them so badly?" asked one counselor. Zexal, the Zelnar Prime Minister, looked tired. "We saw what they wanted us to see. While they smiled and negotiated, they were studying us, learning our weaknesses." The Viridian representative spoke up. "We must assemble the combined fleet, crush these humans with overwhelming force." But before they could vote on this proposal, another communication came through on all channels. It showed Admiral Diane Carter standing on her bridge. "Attention, Federation Council," she said calmly. "We have demonstrated only a fraction of our capabilities. We don't want to destroy you. We wanted to be your allies. Remember that, and choose your next move carefully." 3 months after the conflict began, the Federation Council sent a message to Earth requesting peace talks. The human response was simple. They would meet, but not as supplicants. The peace conference would be held on neutral ground, a small, uninhabited planet at the edge of what had once been disputed space. When the Federation delegation arrived, they found the humans already there. A large dome structure had been built to accommodate representatives from all species. Inside, the atmosphere and gravity could be adjusted for comfort. Ambassador George Martinez led the human delegation. He was joined by Admiral Diane Carter, Commander Alan Scott, and Defense Secretary Patricia Wells. They sat calmly at one side of a large circular table. The Federation representatives entered cautiously. Zexal, the Zelnar Prime Minister, looked much less confident than during their Last meeting, the Viridian representative Vex avoided making eye contact with the humans. Representatives from the other 15 Federation species followed behind them. "Welcome," said George, his voice professional but not warm. "Please be seated so we can begin." Once everyone was settled, Zexal spoke first. "On behalf of the Federation, Council, I thank you for agreeing to these talks. The past 3 months have been educational for us all." George nodded. "Indeed. I believe you have a proposal for us." Zexal took a deep breath. "The Federation Council proposes an immediate end to hostilities. We offer Earthful membership in the Federation, with all rights and privileges that entails. No more restrictions on colonization or technology sharing." George looked to his colleagues before responding. "And what assurances do we have that the Federation will honor these terms? Your past actions give us little reason to trust your word." A new voice joined the conversation. A representative from the Ardari, a species known for their scientific achievements, spoke up. "If I may," the Ardari said, "many member species were unaware of the Zelnar and Viridian actions against Earth. We have been misled about certain matters." Murmurs of agreement came from several other representatives. George exchanged glances with Patricia. This was interesting. It seemed there were divisions within the Federation. "The fact remains," George said, "that humanity extended trust and friendship only to be deceived and attacked. Many of our people died as a result of Federation actions." Zexal lowered his head. "This is true. There is no justification for these actions. But I must ask the question that is on everyone's mind. How could a species so young be so formidable in conflict? You have been spacefaring for barely a century. The Zelnar have traveled the stars for millennia." Patricia Wells leaned forward. "Perhaps that's exactly why. While you've enjoyed peace and stability, we've been testing ourselves against the harshest opponent imaginable, other humans." The room grew quiet as she continued. "For thousands of years, humans fought each other. We developed technologies specifically for conflict. We studied strategy and tactics. We learned to adapt quickly because our survival depended on it." "Commander," Scott spoke next, "while you were building consensus, we were perfecting warfare. While you were expanding through space, we were developing technologies to survive our own destructive tendencies." Admiral Carter added, "What you saw as diplomatic naivety was simply us giving peace a chance. We always hoped force wouldn't be necessary." The alien representatives listened with growing understanding. The Ardari representative nodded slowly. "You were preparing for the worst while hoping for the best," she said. "A very human approach, it seems." George stood up. "Now let's discuss real peace terms. Not just an end to conflict, but a new beginning based on genuine respect and equality." Over the next several days, human and Federation representatives worked to create a new framework for interspecies relations. The old hierarchy, with the Zelnar and their allies at the top, was replaced with a more balanced system where all species had equal voting rights. The Zelnar and Viridians agreed to pay reparations for the destroyed colony ships and the attack on New Anchorage. Several Federation officials who had been directly involved in these actions were removed from their positions and faced justice. Most importantly, each species agreed to share their unique knowledge and technologies. The humans offered medical advances and innovative engineering solutions. The Federation species shared their centuries of space exploration data and advanced energy systems. 6 months later, a new joint human-alien military academy opened on Mars. Commander Alan Scott, who had lost his family in the attack on New Anchorage, was appointed as one of the lead instructors. He stood before the first class of cadets, a mixed group of humans and various alien species. "Welcome to the first day of your training," Alan began. "You may wonder why someone who fought against the Federation would now be teaching Federation citizens. The answer is simple. We learn from our mistakes and we move forward." He activated a holographic display showing various ships from both human and alien fleets. "The greatest mistake in interspecies relations is assuming your values are universal," Alan continued. "The Federation valued consensus and stability above all, Humanity values freedom and justice. Now we must all learn from each other. In the observation deck above the training area, Ambassador George Martinez stood alongside Zexal, the Zelnar Prime Minister. They watched the cadets below, young representatives of species that had been at war just months before. "It's remarkable how quickly things can change," Zexal commented. "From war to cooperation in less than a year." George nodded. "Humans adapt quickly. It's our greatest strength. We can forgive, though we don't forget." "There is much we can learn from each other," Zexal admitted. The Federation had grown complacent. Perhaps we needed this wake-up call. "Just remember," George said quietly, "we prefer diplomacy, but never mistake that preference for inability." Zexal nodded solemnly as they watched Earth rise over the Martian horizon. That is a lesson the Federation will not soon forget. Below them, human and alien cadets worked together on combat simulations. The humans shared their tactical thinking while the aliens offered insights from centuries of space travel. Together, they were creating something new, a combined approach that took the best from all species. On Earth, life returned to normal. Federation tourists once again visited Earth's natural wonders. Human merchants traded in Federation markets. Students from both Earth and alien worlds studied together at universities across the galaxy. But things were different now. Earth was no longer the newcomer, politely following Federation rules. Humanity had earned respect the hard way. When human representatives spoke in the Federation Council, other species listened carefully. As Admiral Carter had said during the final battle, "We gave peace every chance. Remember that for the future." And the Federation did remember. The day humans dropped the Diplomacy Act became known throughout the galaxy as the day everything changed. Not just for humanity, but for all spacefaring civilizations.